Welcome to Sabs podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. Um, I don't usually do this. Actually, I never do this, but I feel it's something that needs to be discussed. Um, so I am not the best at talking about my feelings. And so this isn't easy for me to do. So just bear with me because I do feel like there's someone somewhere that I think needs to hear this message. Last year, right after COVID, my state, Massachusetts, completely shut down, and it was shut down for a while. And although I was living in the city and I'm used to having a lot of people around me, the city actually looked like a ghost town. A lot of people moved out of the city during COVID. To go along with that, my job changed. A lot of you know that I work in higher education. I work with students. And when COVID happened, my university, we were all sent to work from home remotely. And so I went from having that in person, everyday interaction with students, going to lunch with students, planning social events for students, that constant interaction, it was gone. And I went from that to seeing them on a screen. And I was working from home. I was home by myself Monday through Friday, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, because my husband still had to actually go into work for his job. And what I found is that number one, I am very much an extrovert and I love being around people. And for the first time in my life, I felt isolated, alone, and I started to feel lost. I'm one of those people that I'm very passionate about working with students. That's why I got into higher ed, because I love working with students and I want to make a difference. I wanted to make change, progress. But what I found over time is that I wasn't going to be able to implement change or progress, not because of me, but because of bureaucratics. And that in itself, I think, was rather disappointing. And then to go along with that, to add on to that, COVID and not being able to have that interaction with the students. So I found myself feeling very, very down, to the point where it was hard for me to get out of bed. And it's really difficult for me to talk about this, but the reason why I am is because I think that not talking about it actually made things worse for me. I was very passionate about my job. I saw people, get laid off because universities were hit pretty hard during COVID financially. And I didn't know if my job was safe. I still don't know if my job is safe, to be honest. And I found myself feeling like I didn't know what I wanted, just out of life in general. And part of the problem was that my job was my life. I'm one of those administrators where I care so much about the students. I do anything for them, that I would work around the clock. I work a lot. And if you sent me an email 8, 9 o'clock at night, I would answer the email. I was fully invested in my job to the point where my job was my life. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I know that someone out there somewhere is going to see this and they may be in the same situation. And my advice to you, do not make your job your life. Because at any given point in time, your job can be removed, or if you were like me, your job can change because of technicalities or because of life events. Like for me, it was COVID, so my job changed. So that fulfillment that I had was gone. But that was all I knew. That's what I was. Whenever people would ask me about myself or who am I would always lead with what I did. I would never lead with who I actually was. So if you asked me who I was, I would say, I'm a higher ed administrator. The problem with that statement, that's not who I am. Your job shouldn't be who you are. And for a long time, I did that. And so when everything happened with COVID, I was really down. And I had a hard time getting out of that funk. And so what I want you to know, if you're going through that and you're feeling that way, is to please talk to someone. Because what I found is that the longer I held those feelings in, the worse it became. And so eventually I did decide to talk to someone. But even my friends, they don't even know that I was feeling this way. I was pretty good at, just smiling and just pretending like everything was fine, but it wasn't. And I'm just not good at talking about my feelings to people. That's why even this video is very hard for me to do. Like I honestly thought I was going to have like a panic attack before I did this video. I'm not kidding. But doing this is therapeutic. And so I know a lot of people will look at me and they'll say, but you do leftist commentary. You talk about stuff all the time. I do. But that requires me doing research. That requires me talking about facts and then adding my opinion. That's not me really telling you about how I feel. And that's something that I have struggled with for a long time. And I'm working on fixing that. So I'm not the best at that. And I know that. But I'm trying to work on that. And if you're in that situation and you're feeling that way, definitely talk to someone and try to work on it, because it's only going to make you feel worse. I am in somewhat of a better place now. And that is because I have accepted the fact that my job is not my life. My job is not who I am. And that was hard for me to say. And that was hard for me to accept. It took time. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in your work, so much to the point where you can forget who you really are, just like as a person. And that was me. I was always like a hard worker. And then one day I just felt like it was just taken away. So I didn't know who I was. And I want to say that if you don't know who you are, that's okay. You may be still trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out who I am all over again. because for the past 10 years or so, my job has defined who I was as a person. I allowed that to happen. No one else but me. And I will say that one of the things that has been helpful is having this platform. Being able to have an outlet that doesn't require me to necessarily be around people. Because as I mentioned, I am an extrovert. I like going to socials. I like going to baseball games, football games. I like being around people. And for people like me, it is very hard for us to isolate ourselves. So I'm not going to drag on with this, and I'm not trying to be a downer. But if you are feeling that way, if you're feeling kind of lost, if you're trying to figure out who you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do, I'm just here to tell you that you're not alone. And although I am feeling, better now, I'm still not where I was before COVID started. I'm still trying to remember who that person was because we've been dealing with this for so long. And I know that I'll eventually get back there, but it still may not be 100% of who I used to be. And I'm okay with that. And maybe this is just a part of change, like with life in general. I don't know. We never know what is supposed to happen for us, right? So yeah. So I know this is different from what I usually do. Um, this is not something I'm going to continue to do because, like I said, it was very hard for me to do this. But I do just want you to know that you are not alone, and definitely talk to someone. If you want to reach me, I mean, most of you guys know I'm on Twitter all the time. My DMs are open. Feel free to reach out and talk to friends and family as well. Don't do what I did and try to be so tough that you can't express how you feel. And I also want you to know that it's 100% okay to feel this way. So that's all I wanted to say, you guys. Again, I know this is different, but hang in there, and I'm thinking about you.